Good morning once again, and thank you for keeping it right here on Sunrise at Sea on CTV. My name is Apollo Sarah. In studio with me is Priva Elibaz and Age Owase. Welcome to our views, and what we do here is we have everyday conversations that affect our everyday life. So today's conversation is something that I believe a lot of people have, gone through in their education journey, and that is bullying. And why this topic is coming up is because on social media an investigation has been launched after a video shows a parent screaming and threatening children on a school bus after he claims his child was hit and attacked by the students on the bus. All right, and the video shows him standing in the pathway of the bus, and is threatening the kids and saying, if any of you ever touches my daughter, I am going to come here, I will flip this bus over, and I am fighting all of you. So some of the kids start getting really scared and even start crying. This happened in Louisville in the United States, and his daughter goes to a school called Carter Elementary School. Now, there were mixed reactions on social media. Some parents felt that he might have gone a little overboard, with the threats and threatening children, and the children started crying, while other parents are like, he said what he said. Come for my child and I will fight a 7-year-old. I will fight all these 7-year-olds. Yeah. Well, the school went on and started launching an investigation into the matter, and they sent an email to all the parents explaining the situation. The father later on went on and gave a public apology and said that he may have taken his actions, far, but he's very frustrated because his daughter has been reporting to him that she has been bullied for over a year. He reported to the school administration. They did nothing. He reported to the bully's parents, and nothing was still done. And then the day before the incident, when he threatened the school bus, his daughter had come home and told him that she was jumped. That is, mob, 3-4 children attacked her on the school bus and beat her. So the father said he apologizes for his actions, but he was frustrated and he feels very hopeless. So ladies, before I get into the statistics of bullying around the world in schools, do you think this father's actions are justified? Should he have apologized? Because a lot of parents that were in support with what he did say that you didn't even have to apologize. We totally understand. So ladies, what do you think?
I mean, it sounds morally, how would I put it, different or what, but yeah. I stand with the father. Yeah, I stand with the father, because you see, deal with your children so that they don't have to face consequences of a grown man coming on a bus and shouting at them and letting them know that he's going to protect his own. Yes. What he did, what bullying does to children, if they do not cry every single day, if they don't have a terrible time at school, of which this is a place where they spend so much time, they'll come back home and tell you they don't want to go to go back to school. True. So for me, I feel like what he did was very justified. He should not even have offered any apology, because at the end of the day, bullies somehow get away with, this whole thing, and it's kind of like normalized, like, oh, there's bullying, it happens, it's in schools. Yes, it's part of life. It's part of life. You go through that, but no, it's not. So I stand for the man, and I say what he did was right. He needed to put those kids in their places. Keep your bad manners somewhere else. Yes. Don't come and impose them on other people's children.
What about you, Aggie?
Okay, for me, I'll start with saying that bullying has no place in this world, especially when it comes to children. That's very disturbing. What that gentleman did, I think, was out of frustration. If you have been reporting a case of your child being bullied over and over again, and the school administration is not doing anything about it, then I think out of frustration is like, you see, if you cannot understand it the easier way, then let me bring it to you the hard way. Maybe you will understand it that way. So I understand absolutely 100%, the place that he's coming from and why he did that. And as a parent, as a parent, you want to protect your child. That's true. There are some children, or who have committed suicide. There's those who actually never talk to their parents, that have been bullied. So over time you find, a little child committed suicide, and when you come to discover why or what events led to that, and you realize maybe they've been bullied. There's been multiple black children who have been bullied in schools. Yes. There's those stories that, very traumatizing, disturbing stories that you see on social media. And talking about him apologizing, I think, well, he's a decent human being. Yeah. From that alone, you can tell that he's a decent human being. Yes. Someone else, they have no place in their heart to actually apologize, especially when the other kids are in wrong. So he's definitely a decent human being. That's what I would say.
I think it goes to show the remorse of his actions, but I also do understand he was a very frustrated father, and he felt very helpless in the moment, you know, having to worry, is my daughter safe at school? And we have all seen how extreme bullying can go. Even us who have, you know, have studied here in Uganda, we are not any different. Any child that has gone through, you know, the education system around the world has gone through bullying. At least this is what this survey says, and it's by PESA's National Bullying Prevention Center, and it's a comprehensive overview of current bullying prevention research conducted by governments around the world and higher education agencies. And it goes on to say that 1 out of every 5, and that is 20% of students, have reported being bullied. It goes on to say a higher percentage of males than female students report being physically bullied, and that is between 6% in male students and 4% in female students. Whereas higher percentage of female than male students have reported being the subject of rumors. That is 18% versus 9%. That is 18% of female students have been subjected to the emotional and psychological bullying of it, whereas the boys are the ones who tend to be physically harmed and hurt in the process. And in Uganda, just to give you some specific statistics, it goes on to show that the fear of being bullied has pushed around 160,000 students in Uganda to stay at home instead of attending school. As a matter of fact, bullying has also paved way for the concept of homeschooling, and a dangerous part about bullying is that the victims of the act are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide as a means of escape. In addition, it goes on to say that 14% of children belonging to high school think of suicide, and approximately 7% actually attempt it every year. And the number of student deaths by suicide is rising by the day, and bullying is becoming an epidemic that continues to spread. And that goes on to they also target children that are queer, children that are disabled, children that have, you know, different, cultures and come from different backgrounds, children that have any slight form of disability. And you know, and do you know what the worst part is? That it's not even just the students, it's even the teachers in the school.
Sometimes.
Especially here in Uganda, yes, we know you. It's just that we don't have time to shame you.
Better,
but
yes.
let's talk about prevention, because we are almost running out of time. How do you think that we can collectively prevent bullying in schools? Where should it start from?
Let me start briefly with something very tiny. There's a student who was actually a little child in primary in a school in Nigeria, was bullied over and over again, and reported to the parents, and they came told the school administration, only to realize later that the school administration, teachers, and some of them were allowing this kind of behavior because the students who were bullying this child are students of or children of prominent politicians in Nigeria. So they battered this child because he refused to join their cult. Eventually, they poured acid. At the time he was sleeping in the night, they poured acid in his mouth. And then, yes, after that, it was like the next day they called the parents, they took the child to hospital. He passed. Oh, no. That's the sad reality. And these children the perpetrators of this crime were protected by the school, were protected by their parents. They took them abroad. So my point is, it's a collective responsibility of parents, of the school administration. Why would you allow this kind of behavior to go on? Honestly, it's sad like that.
For me, I would say charity begins at home. Yes, I will not put the entire responsibility on teachers. Just like you said, parents. At the end of the day, I hope parents remember that the primary responsibility of raising your child lies with you, including shaping them to be right-thinking members of society, because there is no way a young child is going to pour acid in someone else's mouth and that is considered normal. Like, and back at home as a parent, you think you're doing something good, or you're excelling at your role as a parent. You failed as a parent. So I think it starts with the parents from a younger, tender age. Teach your kids respect. Teach your kids that they're going to meet people that are different from how they look. It's going to be a diverse universe. There's going to be different different people, different everything. So they need to, you know, coexist and most importantly, respect other people. It starts with respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I 100% agree with that. Well, if you're asking if the school system or the Ministry of Education and Sports here in Uganda, now let's just narrow it down to here, is doing enough to stop or prevent bullying in schools, the answer is no. They're not doing enough. The teachers are not doing enough. The school administrators are not doing enough. Parents are not doing enough, and parents are even ignoring it, because a lot of parents don't have enough time to pay attention to their children because they're busy working or hustling, you know, school fees, inflation, economic crisis, everything. So their children's problems, they tend to trivialize them. I'll give you an example. My son, when he was about 7 years old, came home one day and told me his deskmate hit him. I was ready to fight a child. The next day when I take him to school, and he was very upset about it. So the next day when I go to school, I asked the teacher, my son said he was hit by his deskmate. Please explain the situation. Did he tell you about it? So the teacher said, yes, he explained the situation to me. And I'm like, I would like to talk to this little boy. So the teacher was a bit, a little bit hesitant. I'm like, no, no violence here. Just let me talk to the boy to understand what happened. So the little boy called Waswa was brought a little cute thing, and then he tells me, no, we were playing tapo, tag, tag. So he hit my son a bit aggressively, and my son does not like aggressive people. So I was like, now I understood the situation. They were playing and it was a minor situation. So I later on told the teacher, kindly please, not all our children are brought up the same. Some of them respond differently to physical touch. So I don't want to have to hear this happening ever again. I told the little boy, and now they're best of friends. Wow. They're best of friends. What's what, my son, if you're listening, hi, I hope you're okay.
Something, Sarah.
So
I think parents should stop telling their children to hang in there. There are those, your child tells you, I've been bullied at school, like, hang in there, for us we manage. You manage. What do you mean?
Exactly. And some of them even going to say it's the rite of passage. And they like to say it's children being children. No, it isn't. There are extreme cases, and I can go on and on and on giving you many examples. But one, I like that I found out that in the Philippines they have an anti-bullying policy, and it's in their constitution, and it's also implemented by their schools and their Ministry of Education, whereas because bullying is absolutely not even condoned in the slightest way. And I think that this is something that governments all over the world need to take seriously. Well, I'd like to hear from you. Please connect with us across all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'd like to hear how you think we can prevent this epidemic of bullying in schools. The statistics don't lie. And the reason why your child doesn't want to go to school could be because they're being bullied at school. So pay attention. That is all we had. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea.
Well, we've come to the end of our episode of Sunrise at Sea this morning. I hope you had an amazing time. We did have some good conversations. We talked about schools, of course, reopening and how schools have increased fees. And actually, our guest today, Madam Namkwaya Aisha, who is the headmistress of the Whale Girls School, was able to give us, an insight on why schools are actually increasing the fees and, what measures they're putting in place to help support or help parents that are struggling with the whole, current living crisis in the country. Of course, we wrapped up the show with that discussion on bullying. Still, kids are going back to school. It's time for the holidays to get done. Kids are reporting back to school. Play your role as a teacher, play your role as a parent. At the end of the day, bullying has no place in any school, in society whatsoever. So, do your part so that you don't have to face consequences of, grown people coming and attacking your young children and scaring them, yes? Well, that's all we had for you. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, it's a Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. A great show is, waiting you. So make sure you do tune in tomorrow. That's all we had. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely morning.